Hello my friends, Paul here in the RoJoBe Music Workshop, and welcome to part 6 of the Bowlback Mandolin project. Neck reset and eventually left-hand conversion. So in the previous episode I'd removed the clamps from the fretboard, just checked it all over and it looked absolutely fine apart from a little bit of glue cleanup, which I've now done off camera. It's good enough. And I also started to polish the tuners, and I have to say they have come out awesome. They literally look like brand new, apart from the buttons which are showing, you know, signs of age, but obviously that's what you want, and a little bit of corrosion on the actual tuning posts themselves, but very little, to be honest. But I'm really pleased with how they've come out. They're beautiful and shiny. So it's probably going to be a bit too much for this 50-year-old instrument, but hey ho, they needed cleaning, and they will also need a little bit of lubrication once I put them on. Just use a little bit of Vaseline for that, because it's, you know, it does act as a lubricant. It's obviously a water repellent as well, and you know, it's practically colourless and doesn't stain, so that's as good a thing to use as any. So what I need to do now is give the instrument a really good clean and polish. So I've got various bits of kit that I'm going to be using. I've got a brand new single edge razor blade here, which I'll use to clean off the muck and grime off the actual fretboard. Then I've got this abrasive pad, which I will use to clean the frets, and a brush to brush off any dust and muck. I've got my boiled linseed oil. Actually, I also need, where is it? There we go, my beeswax and boiled linseed oil. Various cloths and things, so we're ready to start. So I'm going to do the fretboard first. So as I said, I've got a brand new single edge razor blade here. Careful not to slice my fingers. And all I'm doing is basically scraping the grime off of the fretboard. It's quite a delicate job, especially right next to that nut which I've recently installed. And incidentally, that nut is bone, because I had to just file it a little bit into shape to get it to go back into the slot the other way round. And while I was filing it, I gave it a sniff, and sure enough, it is bone. So by that I also know that the saddle is bone, because the saddle for sound transference is much more important than the nut. So if the nut's bone, the saddle is bound to be bone, which is good. And also with the tuners, where the little cogs go onto the end of the shaft, there's a little spline inside the cog and on the outside of the shaft, which I've not seen before, mostly because I deal with cheap instruments, so that's a sign of pretty good quality. So, okay, let's just get the edges of the frets all the way down as well. Not quite sure what these frets are, but actually having a close look now, they're quite flattened off. I've obviously had fret jobs in the past. Now really I should try and round those back over, but that'll be a job for another day. Yeah, I've not noticed that before, but these all of the frets kind of got flat tops on them, which is not ideal. But like I said, I'll do that another day. That's not important right now. Yeah, this fretboard is pretty grimy, but the frets are very fine and very low. I don't want to, you know, make any changes to height of anything anywhere. Actually, I think I'm going to finish that with the abrasive pad, just being very careful with that nut. cleaning up nice, the frets. So put my hand in there so I don't get too much dust inside. That's fine. Right, I'm going to give it a coat of boiled linseed oil now. Actually, just give it another scrape over that just to be sure I've got all the grime off. There we go. That's good enough. So I'm going to give it a coat of boiled linseed oil now. To give it a chance to really penetrate the wood. I don't know how long ago, if ever, this fretboard was oiled. It's not looking dry or cracked or anything, but it's certainly going to do it no harm to have a little coat of boiled linseed oil. Okay, I really won't need much on this tiny little fretboard. I mean, when you get to the bottom end here, the frets are really close together. About probably the last 2 or 3 sort of well under 10 mil gap between them. I don't think this fretboard was particularly thirsty. It's obviously the instrument has been kept in, you know, in decent sort of ambient temperature and humidity most of its life, which is a good thing. Right, let's get another cloth just to wipe that off. That's a good one. It's looking a lot healthier now. I mean, as I said, it wasn't bad, really, for the age of the instrument and for the fact that I strongly suspect this particular job hasn't been done to it for a very, very long time, if ever. Just make sure I get off all the excess, because any that you leave behind is going to be, you know, attracting dirt and grime that will stick to it. So I'll make sure I get all of that oil off, the excess oil off the fretboard. The frets are nice and shiny now. As I said, I will, you know, address those frets at some stage, but not now. Definitely need re-crowning. I mean, there's no sharp edges anywhere. There's no fret sprout at the ends. The edge, the sides of the frets. Yeah, they need crowning again, but as I said, not today. Right. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is just use a damp paper towel and just wipe over the whole instrument, just to remove most of the dirt first before I polish it. And it really does, you know, make quite a bit of difference doing this. Let's just move that forward a bit. You see what I'm doing? I mean, it isn't that dirty, really. So it's obviously been kept in decent conditions, because, I mean, I've said it so many times, but for the age of this instrument, it is in excellent condition. There's a few scars and nicks and dents and things, but I wouldn't expect anything less from an instrument of such age. Right, that's that. So now just get another cloth and dry that off. Don't want to leave it wet for any length of time. It's already looking a lot better. Just with a wipe over with water. No soap or anything in it, no detergents of any kind. It already looks a lot better. Okay, so what I'm going to use to polish this is my own homemade concoction, which is 50% beeswax, 50% boiled linseed oil. It does tend to dry out a little bit over time, but it's absolutely fine. So I'm going to want to have a new cloth for this. Why not? Okay, so I'm going to start with the headstock and then do the body, and I'll do the neck last because that's what I'll be holding to do most of it. So you don't need a lot of this. Any kind of wax polish that you use on anything, less is more. Always use as little as you can get away with, because the more you put on, the more hard work you have to put into getting it off again. So do both sides, both front and back of the headstock. Don't expect it to come up like new, and to be honest, I don't want it to. I want it to look its age. Right, actually I'll take another new cloth, wiping it off as well. Wow, that looks stunning. I have to say, you know, it's really kept its finish really nicely. Yeah, that looks good, really good. Right, I'm going to do the back next, because it's a bigger area. I'm going to do it in 2 halves rather than trying to do the whole thing in one go. Actually, probably three sections. Wow, that looks so good. As you can see, I'm using very little polish for 2 reasons. As I said, firstly, it's a lot harder to take it off if you use too much with wax polish, but also this doesn't need much. It's already looking amazing just by giving it a wipe with water. There's a little bit of finish peeling off on the back there, but that's not a problem, nothing major. Okay. Careful. Dang, that's coming up really nice. Try a little bit more on that tail piece. I should have used the metal polish on that really, but never mind. That's good. How are we doing for time? Okay. Wow, that looks so good. Really good. Okay, so I'll do the top now. And obviously this is the part that needs to look the best. And I'm feeling just like the rest of it, it's going to come up really nice. It's just in such good condition for the age of it. Yeah, I mean, I can see a few scratch marks around this, but that's exactly what that's for, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. Like I said, I'm not going for perfection, I'm not going for it looking like brand new. That would be pointless. Just want it nice and clean. And you know, this polish that I'm using will obviously protect it for years to come as well. Good, that's almost done. Just the neck to do. Obviously, like I said, you know, that's what I'm holding on to do the rest of it, so it makes sense to do that last. Yeah, a little bit more there. Okay, right. Now the neck. Right, that's about it. Just give it a final wipe over, try and remove any residue. Right, that's that about done. And it looks beautiful. I mean, like I said, there are, you know, marks, still several marks all over it, but that looks great now. Perfect, okay. So that's that job done. Which was the on cloth. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is actually I need to put the tuners in first before I do anything else. So tuners in next. Might be easier just to put that flat. Right, so which way around do they go? That way around. In you go, come on. Nice tight fit, I do like that actually. Why is that not going in? You seem to have bent. Right, let's take them out. Let's see if I can straighten that up a bit. Yeah, the whole body part is bent. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but we'll sort it out. It's looking better. Let's try that now. God, it is a snug fit. Wow. I'm not wanting to go back in easily. That's actually, as it's going in, because of the angle of the tuning posts, it's pushing it that way. That's interesting. That might be a little bit of a struggle to get those in though. That's odd. Okay. Well, just put all of the screws in and, you know, gently crank them down, and that should pull that back in. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. That's not going quite to plan. I think the threads seem to have stripped out on that one. If this issue continues, I might have to plug up these holes and re-drill them. Yeah, it's looking like what I'm going to have to do. Okay. Just try the other side, see how they go in. Oh, they're going perfectly, that's strange. So why is this side not going in right? Right, I think I know what I can do. I can loosen these screws on the back of the posts, and that should allow them to move around a little bit and drop into place. This is. That's got it. Yeah, that's all I needed to do. Great, well, that saved me a bit of work. There we go, that's going in now. Perfect. That's better. Okay, so that's quite interesting. The holes that the sound posts go through are obviously not perfectly straight through. But by loosening those screws on the back of the posts, which allows those to move, you know, side to side, backwards and forwards a little bit, it, you know, allowed the body of the tuners to go in properly. Never come across that before, but it kind of makes sense. Because, you know, most other stringed instruments, most not all, have separate tuners rather than all of them on one bar like this. So you don't normally get that kind of issue. That's fine. It's all a learning experience. I mean, I don't often work on mandolins as it is, and particularly any older instruments I don't often work on. And each one, you know, from these sort of older instruments, each one will be slightly different. You'll never get two exactly the same. And that's what I like about old instruments. They are unique, bespoke. Whereas, you know, modern instruments, although they are very well built, there's no denying that, they're production line, you know, and I'm not really into that. This one's going in much better, thankfully. And also, another really good thing, I haven't lost any of the screws. I've learned from previous mistakes where I have lost screws and bits and pieces before. Whenever I take an instrument apart, we always have a tin or a box ready, put everything in. I know exactly where everything is when it comes to putting it back together. And how are we doing for time? Ooh, running out. Right, let me just get these screws in sharpish. Let's go down a bit more. Okay, last one. Okay. So, that's the tuners back in. We'll need a little bit of a wipe over again, but that's all of those in. Just make sure they're all sitting down properly, and they are. That's the other side. So, that's that little job done. So, in the next episode, I will be putting a couple of strings on. Just the outer two strings, and I'll be, you know, sort of bringing them up to tension, so it's only going to be two strings, because I want to check for string height, string action, and you know, get an idea of intonation as well, bridge placement. So that will be in episode 7. Hope you're enjoying this series. I certainly am. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, and we will see you in the next episode. In the meantime, please look after yourselves, look after each other. We will see you soon. Peace out.